Today we are going to discuss about the philosophy of food. So, food we know that food is one of the primary needs of human beings, with the other primary needs like food, water, food, clothes, and shelter. These are the three primary needs of the human beings. So, food is essential for our survival of the human beings as well as animals and plants, etc. Human beings are consuming some kind of food, animals, different kinds of food, plants, very different kinds of food. So, but food is very much essential for the human beings or the life to survive on earth. So, food we consume through the mouth is actually the main food that we are consuming. And we have other foods also. If we check the food and food of the human beings, primarily it is we consume through the mouth, the food and water, and then we have other foods also which comes through our other outer senses as well as inner senses. Outer senses, we know that it can come through the eyes, nose, ear, and our touch, tangibility of the skin, etc. Then we can have the inner senses in the sense that it can be triggered or illumined by the by some readings, by some thoughts, by our memory, random memories and imaginations, etc. So inner senses also can provide us, because what we store inside us, the memory, we can consume it, or like chewing the cud, we can have it in some time. So it pops up and we ponder over that, so that we get new revelations or new ideas or new convictions, and then it also acts as a food. And the talks and readings and movies, etc., also can trigger these inner senses. Anything can trigger the travel, etc. So food can come through our five outer senses as well as from the inner senses. So we are primarily talking about the food that's coming through our mouth. That means our heart. What we mean by the food and water and drinks, etc. So food is actually catering or nourishing our Annamaya body. Annamaya body in the sheets of human kosha bodies. So what are the human kosha bodies? We have 5 kosha bodies or 5 sheets of kosha bodies in us. That starts from Annamaya body, which is the foundation of all other bodies. Then the Pranamaya body and Manomaya body and Vijnanamaya body and Anandamaya body. These are the 5 sheets of our 5 kosha bodies or kosha bodies. So the food is actually catering to our Annamaya body, which is the foundation of our existential body here. So some layers are especially the Anandamaya body and Vijnanamaya body, and some part of the Manomaya body is actually not exactly existential, but it has a metaphysical existence. So we will be covering it in another episode. What are the 5 sheets of layers, and what all things are building it up in our human existence. So food is nourishing or catering to the growth of the Annamaya body, which is the foundation of all our other bodies. So if we check the Holy Liturgy or Holy Kurbana or the Holy Mass, we can see that we are consuming our precious body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ, which is building up our Annamaya body, and from it it radiates the metaphysical realms of the life of the resurrected Christ. So it also gets built up in us. So next one is the food Yeah, for the importance of food. So, in what all occasions do we consume food? We have personal food. We can prepare our own food and we can eat that. Then we can go to can be prepared in a family and consumed by mother or father, or anybody can consume, primarily mother. And then in a social gatherings like a birthday or a anniversary, some kind of anniversaries, and some kind of wedding, marriages, and baptism, and many occasions we can have food. Many occasions. So gathering, primarily it's a gatherings and personal as well as in a gathering, we can have food. So personal food, we know that we prepare it ourselves and we eat it. So this is a case of anchorites, or the persons who, solitary people who are monks, who have a hidden rule that they have to prepare their own food by their own hands. So in a family we know that, in gathering also we know that. So this again from the social gathering. So what is the common thing that we collect, that we acquire, or that we have in the gatherings? The food. Food is sharing some kind of feeling or emotions of some kind of metaphysical qualities around all over the people who consume the same food. So next we come to the worship places. In the worship places also we have some kind of food. For example, in Hinduism, and Hinduism also it's there. Some kind of food is given after some kind of, their rituals and all. Then Christianity, of course. Christianity, we have the Holy Communion, which is nothing but the precious body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ, and which we prepared in a holy liturgy. So if we check the Holy Liturgy and Holy Mass, we say Holy Liturgy in case of Orthodoxy and Holy Mass in case of Catholicism. And also in Protestants also there is, in Malayalam it's called Kartru Mesha. Oh, they have also some breaking of bread is there. So the whole liturgy of the Orthodoxy is actually, and Holy Mass in the Catholicism also, all about preparing a food. Preparing food means there's nothing but the precious body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ, which is prepared, being prepared in the Holy Liturgies, and which is being served. So it's a food preparation process. Holy Kurbano is actually a food preparation process that we have in the Orthodox as well as in the other Catholic churches and Anglican, many churches are there. So we are mainly focusing on the Christian Holy Liturgy and Holy Mass, etc., where the food preparation is the main thing that is carrying out in the Holy Liturgies. And Holy Communion. So that is, we can see that. So there is something which can share, which can give, which can share as well as which can give from the food to the people who consume it. And then we come to what is food? What is food? Food is nothing but it's a combination of the 5 basic construction elements of the nature. So what are they? They are earth, water, fire, air, and sky. So food has all these elements, 5 basic construction elements. And so what is the relationship between the absoluteness and the food? Is basically, we can say that it is nothing but the order of creation. So what is the order of creation of the nature or the elements or the creation? The nature of elements and creations, the order of creation is starting from consciousness. It is starting from the sky to the air to the fire to the water to the earth. So these are the 5. These are the 5 construction elements from the consciousness. The consciousness is, of course, the higher consciousness. We know that it is God Himself. So God created everything. So this is exactly the same relationship between Purusha and Prakriti. From Purusha, Prakriti came, not vice versa. So some people may think that Purusha came from Prakriti. It's not like that. Prakriti came from Purusha. And we read it in the epistles that everything was created through Him, through Christ, for Christ, and with Christ. Without Him, nothing was created. So everything came into existence through the Purusha, Uttama Purusha. So consciousness, and then the manifestation of the consciousness into the nature, or the five basic construction elements that we mentioned already. Again, I am saying it's sky, air, fire, water, and earth. So what is this general idea of this manifestation? So this manifestation can again be mentioned as the conception. Conception. It's a conception process of an idea. Consciousness is nothing but an idea, or consciousness is nothing but we will be covering consciousness somewhere, so we can mention it because it's a big topic altogether. And consciousness is actually a logic. Consciousness is logic and a formula of satisfaction. So what can satisfy us is the main goal of consciousness. And consciousness is a logic, and this manifestation into five basic elements is the nothing but the manifestation of the logic. So this logic we can say that it's a conception of a logic, an idea. So in the liturgies also we can see that it is altogether building up a consciousness. And then finally the food is the ongoing process of food preparation is happening in the holy liturgies and the holy mass, and finally it is given to the adherents, or those the followers. So this consciousness, we can say that it is highermost self. We already have seen this, and then we can generally mention what is a consciousness. Consciousness is the collection of the inner senses, the collection of the acquired knowledge of information about oneself is called the consciousness. So his ultimate consciousness is by what he defines himself. A truth seeker always raises up the bars or the horizons of his consciousness, because he is redefining himself to the highermost self, so that God is helping us to redefine this process, and so that he becomes more and more near to the truth or to God. Consciousness is a self-image. Basically, you can say it's an image. So it has a connection with the image of God as well as the image of the beast. Both sides are there. So consciousness has this exactly self-image and definition of a person, or system, process, groups, etc. And food is a manifestation of a logic, and this is a conception of a logic and logos. Then we come to the logic is finally came as logos. Came as the perfection of logic, which is nothing but Christ himself, and Christ gave us the ultimate food, the logos, which is conceived into the form of Holy Communion, precious body and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ, and it's given to the even to the followers and those who believe, the believers, faithful. So Saint Mary conceived Christ, and this also has a connection with the food, because Bethlehem is Beth plus Lahom, that means the house of breads. And Saint Mary conceived Christ in Bethlehem, and she delivered him in Bethlehem, and that became the house of breads. So it has a meaning. So conception is actually, food is nothing but a conception of a logic, and Christ is the logos, and Saint Mary conceived him first and gave it to the world in a sense. Gave it to the world as the food for nations. So we already have seen the order of creation from the conception, from the consciousness, sky to air, air to fire, fire to water, water to earth. So food is a distribution. So we can say that food is a distribution agent of consciousness. Food is a distribution agent of consciousness, and also it can be multiplied. So it is exactly when Jesus multiplied the 5 loaves and the 5 loaves of bread and fishes, and 7 loaves of bread, and 2 times he multiplied. So this multiplication is nothing but actually pre-shadow of the Holy Communion. That means a consciousness, he can, through the Holy Communion, for example, is given, transferred from the holy altar to the faithful, and then also it can be multiplied. The same consciousness can be multiplied to different people, so that everyone can have the same consciousness, higher consciousness. This is exactly the same rule behind the food being shared in a gathering, social gathering, in a birthday, etc., etc. Yeah. So this wedding, for example, the wedding means the pleasure, the joy is there in wedding. So in wedding they can can have some happy experience, but in a in a sad place, sad means in a death anniversary or so, they also can have some kind of sharing of this feeling. So the same consciousness being shared and multiplied through this this food in a social gathering. And then we check about the significant factors of the cook, significant factors of the food. So first of all, the cook is very much important. The consciousness of the cook also is imposed, or cook is transferred into the food. Basically, that's the main, cook is the main agent. Then we have the process. Process means what process, what kind of process he is following. So also because we can connect it with the holy liturgies. The priest is important. The process, the holy liturgy is important, and then the ingredients also is important. For example, in a food we can have many spices and many grains, etc., and each of the ingredients can have different consciousness, because it can be grown in different, because if you prepare food in a house, we can buy it from many places. So this food or these ingredients also can carry their own consciousness. Altogether it comes there. That's why the monasteries and all grow their own vegetables, grow their own grains, grow their own. And in the Eastern Orthodox, in Mount Athos and in the Eastern Europe and Greece and all, they catch fish from the ocean by themselves, because everything they prepare them by themselves. In the hardcore Eastern Orthodox monasteries, that in the Greece and the Eastern Europe, in the Russia, Ukraine, Serbia and other places. So the ingredients, the consciousness also is important, because the food is the combination. Food is the combo, or the food is the sum total of all these consciousnesses. And then we have the environment is very much important. Environment is also very much important. That means environment is the sky. Basically, it's called the sky, in which sky in which the environment we can refer to the sky. So sky is very much important, because the sky is close contact with the consciousness, because consciousness came from the sky. Consciousness came from the sky, and so consciousness is very much close to the sky. So so the sky is important. The environment where these things are, where this process is going on, is very much important. Or the consciousness of the place is very much important. The sky is a very different topic altogether. So we will have some other recording only about sky. So monasteries, we have seen that how they are prepared in the monasteries and all. They grow their own vegetables, they grow their own food, their own grains. They catch fish by their own hands, and they prepare food by their own hands. And there's a lot of prayers that's going through, even though for their daily routines of food preparation, bread making and other kind of food dish, etc. So then the food is, we know, the distribution of a consciousness. And what is food is doing actually by distributing the consciousness? It can transcend a person's consciousness to higher direction, or it can downgrade a person to lower direction. So that we have already can see in the Genesis, when we check that by the food, the serpent or the demon's agent, basically we can say demons, downgraded the consciousness of Eve and Adam to the state of a serpent or a snake. But by the Holy Communion, we are getting, our consciousness is getting transcended to the higher level, to the consciousness of the resurrected Christ. So these are classical example of how a food can transcend a person's consciousness to the higher or lower side, lower directions basically. So these were two logics. The tree of life and tree of knowledge of good and bad were two logics God gave to Adam and Eve to have. To have means he didn't restrict. First God pointed to the tree of life and said that nothing. He said that you can eat, because it's not a restriction. They can easily eat from that. But St. Paul says that Christ was crucified before the beginning of times. So Christ was still there on the cross, but he was not exposed. But now he's exposed like anything, naked on the cross. Love of God is exposed too much. But earlier Eve couldn't understand that. Even Adam couldn't understand that, and because of that, they couldn't. They didn't want to consume the fruit of the tree of life. But now we consume it through the Holy Communion. But then this Eve easily fell into the trap of the snake, and the pride overtook her, and she consumed the fruit of the knowledge of good and bad. So what is this logic? Two logics. So knowledge of good and bad means, what is the knowledge of good and bad? It is nothing but when God created everything, the creation, he saw that everything was good. Everything was good. But then the evil one, the Satan came, the Al-Kharza, or the Satan came and told them that something is, so that is the fruit of the tree of life, tree of knowledge of good and bad. I mean, something is not that good. So what God said, he saw that something is not good. This exactly we can see in the when Saint Peter was offered this basket from the heaven, back from the sky or higher regions, with all those animals, and tell that, okay, eat it. Then he said, no, God, I cannot eat it. Then he said, okay, I purified and I saw that it's all good. So by the sacrifice of Christ on the cross, everything was restored actually. So that's why every food is considered as good now. So but the categorizer, Satan is also called the categorizer, and he categorized these things as good and bad and told that something is not good. And what God saw, exactly the same sentence, he said to Peter that what God saw, you should not count it as, what God saw good, you should not count it as bad. So exactly God wanted to tell this thing. Actually, when God created the creation, he saw that everything was good. But the serpent told that something is not good. That means that bad part is actually he is claiming. So this claim exactly we can see in the testing of the testing of Jesus by the Al-Kharza, when he was claiming everything, that I have been given all these things and I can give it to you. So he was taking claim of this thing falsely. And it is a lie actually, because he doesn't have anything. It's a false lie, false claim. So it's the same claim we can see here also, that something is not good, and that part is coming from the other one, the enemy. He was saying that. So that's why the food downgraded the consciousness, so that they opened their eyes and saw the nakedness, and they are nothing but dust. Man is nothing but dust, and there is nothing good in them except the ambitious or the perfection in God. So then we saw that we can see that this part is entirely a matter of discussion, future matter of discussion. Maybe we'll produce it in another episode, like what are the two logic of this tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and bad. And through the Holy Communion, God upgraded the humankind to the state of the adoption to the Holy Trinity. That we can see that. So there we are connected with God again in a more and more upgraded status, as a sons and daughters of God. So that's a blessed state actually. So what I'm trying to say is about this, how the food is very much important. If we take the food from hotels and all, actually this all consciousness are coming into us in some way or the other. So that's why the mothers know all these things in some kind of manner, and they always say that don't take it from outside, I can prepare it for you. But normally the human boy and man, the male people, they go outside and take fruit from. But normally the women and girls, they normally take it from inside only. They have more awareness about this. I understand. So this consciousness is actually, the food is carrying the consciousness of many elements in them. As we have discussed all these things. So that is what we then again it's multiplied. It's multiplied into, so that it can be given to many people at the same time, and can transfer the consciousness to many people at the same time. So that's it. This two logics in the Eden is a matter of further more discussion. That's out of scope of this. Means moreover, I have mentioned the basic things, but it's out of scope in most elements. So we'll be covering it in another recording. Thank you very much.